Welcome to You Can't Handle the Truth, where we dive into the real, raw truths about health, wellness, and self-growth. I am your real talk guru and your rebel healer, here to cut through the noise and dig deep into mental, physical, and spiritual health, uncovering the truths many aren't ready to confront. But we're going to do that together. Welcome to today's episode of You Can't Handle the Truth. My name is Natalie, and we're going to get right into this topic. Is marriage a net benefit for a woman? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, ladies? Is it a net benefit for a woman? Let's see what our rebelette asks here. She says, I'm 38 years old and feel ready to be married now because I feel that I truly see the value in marriage to my life in a healthy way and a true way. And I believe that I now have a defined, healthy concept of what it is to be a husband and what it is to be a wife. I also have the spiritual depth and grounding at these years to fortify myself for marriage. My principles are clear and strong. My picker feels calibrated to what will allow me to make a good choice of a partner. Sounds like I'm saying I have it all figured out, right? Well, I do notice that many older women say that they have no interest in marriage. Typically, these are women that have been married before. And so as much as I see marriage as something that would really support my life and my ability to do more good in the world and enhance my well-being, and vice versa, of course, I see that many women do not. I also have read statistics. Unmarried women have a higher life expectancy than married women, while married men have a higher life expectancy than unmarried men. To the woman on here, does marriage benefit men more? Do you think marriage benefits men more? Can a healthy marriage provide the mutual support, connection, and belonging that can support a person's mental, spiritual, and financial well-being far more than going life alone? Any thoughts, ladies out there? What do you think? So we're gonna get right into these comments, and I'll give you my perspective as we go through. I can say that after 20 years of marriage and divorcing at 50, I am the happiest and healthiest I've ever been, is what someone responded. Someone else says, same. And surprisingly, my household income is the highest it's ever been with just me earning it. Didn't expect that. Someone else says, when you're the only person your income is responsible for, you can save as much or spend as much as you like. If these women got divorced and their income is the highest it's ever been, with just them earning it, it's because their ex-husbands were a liability and not an asset. Do I need to stop there? Do you guys have any thoughts about that? I don't think that anyone should be a liability to anybody, right? Like, we are in a relationship. It's not a, many people say you should think of marriage as a business negotiation, but I think there's love involved also, right? And so where one person is lacking, the other person picks up. And we all know this, right? Like, we've all heard it. But the truth is that sometimes you do end up, like, one person ends up doing the most, right? But the most of what? It's really, the perspective is interesting. So I'm going to keep going, and then I'll continue to give my opinion. And you can drop me yours down below and let me know what you think. I can only explain it that the universe gave me what I needed and more because I finally left a marriage that was very bad for me. I didn't take any alimony because I didn't want energies tied to him. I got breast cancer when we separated and were going through the divorce, and I had so much support from friends and coworkers. Then a former colleague referred me to a new job, which paid 1.5 times what I was making. That job has worked out so well and gives some company stock as well. I now bring home more than we did together while we were married, all in 3 years. To be honest, my marriage held me back and made me feel like I needed him for survival. I don't. and I could not thrive with him in my life. You know, ladies, this is the thing, right? I think many people go into marriage thinking of marriage as the other person is going to support them. And if you don't have goals for yourself to begin with, or if you don't develop some goals for yourself, like throughout the beginning of the marriage, you end up in some type of toxic interactions. You end up it ends up being a toxic interaction is what I'm trying to say. And you know, it's really interesting that after she left her spouse, that now she felt they were able to someone offered her a job, right? And maybe she was so stressed out that they could see, like, they would have never offered it to her before because they could see that she was so stressed out, and so she wouldn't have been a good candidate. But now that she wasn't stressed out, you know, she became a good candidate because the skills were there. But it's not just about your skills, it's about your presentation, right? And it's about doing the self-work. And I think that self-work is, if you're both, you and your partner are doing the work and fight and know what it is that makes you happy. And when I say what it is that makes you happy, it's not just being with each other. Yes, you could be happy together, but what is it that you have that makes you happy apart from each other, right? What are your goals? What are your passions? You know, on my YouTube channel, I talk about, you know, living your life authentically. But we want everybody living their life authentically. We want the person that we're with living their life authentically. No one, I don't think a man or a man wants to take care of you. I think it's by instinct for the most part. But no one wants to feel taken advantage of, whether you're a man or a woman. And I think that there was another comment here that said that, you know, women don't get paid to work in the home. Women get the shit out of the stick because they don't get paid what they're worth to do the housework. But, you know, I don't think that we can look at marriage as something so transactional. And maybe that's where things go bad. We start looking at it like it's a transaction, like, well, what did you do? And if you did this, then did I do that? Because here in my house, for example, the housework is mostly inside the house, cleaning and things like that is mostly done by me. Now, when it comes to, but it's not all done by me, right? I could say that, but it's not all done by me because my husband handles, we have a lot of technology in our house. My husband handles all the technology that's needed for our house to run. The technology that's needed for me to be able to come here and speak to you. So we need to be honest with ourselves. And not just that, when it comes to outside the house, he does it all. Like, he does it all. And the one thing that I'm going to say is, and I know that probably digress from the original question, is marriage a net benefit to a woman or a man? You know, it's like, what are you going to make of it? How are you going to make it that transactional? And if things are getting to be too much, right? This is what I learned. I don't remember where I heard this. I think I attended a Tony Robbins seminar, which was like one of the Unleash the Power Within. And many times, you know, things are getting done around the house and we're like, why isn't our spouse helping us? Like, why isn't he doing this? Why isn't, and he's wondering why you're not doing this. And then, you know, it's a constant push and pull. And I know that the reason people get divorced is more than that, but that ends up being part of the things that we talk about after we get divorced, is all the things the other person didn't do. But something that Tony Robbins helped me see was that, let's say something like, I don't know what your wages are, right? Let's say you're making $10 an hour, right? And this is hypothetical, and I know that a lot of you maybe out there are making more than that, but like it, or at least hopefully you're at least making that much if you're working with the minimum wage going up. But this is just a hypothetical. Let's say you're making $10 an hour, and you could pay someone $2 an hour, right, to come clean or $5 an hour, let's say. You could pay them $5 an hour to come clean your house, right? But you're constantly having arguments with your spouse about why they're not helping you, why they're not cleaning up the house. You could, for 3 hours, for $15 out of your whole paycheck, right? 3 hours, let's say 4 hours. You could once a week for 4 hours hire somebody for $20 to come in and clean your house for you. Argument over. That's how we settle it here. There's something I can't do, and the thing is that we have to listen to the other person, because the reason they're complaining and they're asking you for help is because they're exhausted, right? But when the person that we're asking for help is also exhausted. So if you instead you do the math and use that calculation to say, hey, change the mindset. Tell yourself, hey, I will be helping somebody else with their income while I'm getting a really huge benefit of peace of mind, a clean house. It's worth that $20. Wouldn't you do it? Not to have that argument? And I know that's a sidebar, but I feel like this is part of it, right? And the problem becomes when you're off balance, right? And when I say you're off balance, this woman says that she was being depleted, right? That he was taking more from her than he was putting into the relationship. And this is somebody asking about getting married. So what I would say is, it sounds like she understands what she wants and what she's looking for in a partner and what she's looking for in being a partner. So my thing is, if you're at 50, you're looking to go out and have a relationship and find a husband, don't talk to the angry 50-year-old who just got divorced. And yes, do talk to them. I've been divorced, so no shade, right? But don't, they're going to give you a perspective of things that you might want to think about, right? And the fact that we see that married women live a shorter time, and married men live longer, right? Speaks to the fact that women neglect themselves to take care of their spouse. So that's a problem, right? Because you went into that relationship with a mindset thinking that there's certain expectations, right? That person had expectations of things that you are going to do. But what if you went into the marriage with expectations for them, for the other person, for your husband, that, part of me being here in this relationship is that I need to be able to take care of myself. And that taking care of myself means that I need you to help with taking care of yourself. And that, yes, we're going to help each other, but what we're not going to do is we're not going to deplete each other. I think that puts us in a more harmonious state, because many times one person is increasing the health of another while they're not taking care of their own. And that doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make sense in any avenue. As a nurse, this is what, this is where, this is where that picture, for you nurses out there, this is where this becomes a problem, right? Because we go into the healthcare industry where this type of behavior is abused and our health further declines. So imagine you're taking this abuse at home, you're taking this abuse, and I don't want to call it abuse, but you're subjugating yourself to this type of mindset at home. You're subjugating yourself to this type of mindset in the workplace, and everybody's getting everything out of you except you. That's a problem. And when you feel that, when you get to the point where you're completely depleted and your cup is empty, there is no other option but to leave that situation, that job, that person, right? Because at that point, it's too late for conversations. You're in fight or flight at that point. So this woman, I think, is in a good place. I think she's in a good place where she can have those conversations ahead of time. So I think she has a good chance of having, it's not going to be perfect, of course, because we have, there are cultural norms that that will challenge this, right? But you can still have cultural, I believe that you can still have cultural norms where you do things, right? I love to do things for my husband. He loves it when I do things for him. But when I can't, and when I don't have the bandwidth, I say no. And he's okay with that. Do you understand the difference? As opposed to I say no, or he says no. When he doesn't have the bandwidth for something, he says no. And I have to be okay with that. As opposed to somebody that says, well, you know, this is an expectation. So what do you mean? Like, you're not going to do this. And then there's tension, right? But when this is an expectation that we need downtime, we all need downtime. We all need time for self-care. And we all have a time when we're going to need to say no. We're not robots, right? And that's the same for healthcare. If you work in healthcare, there's a time to say no. No, I will not take that extra patient. I don't have the bandwidth. No. You're going to have to give it to somebody else, or you're going to have to bring another nurse on this unit. Now, can that get you fired? Possibly. I don't know. Depends on where you work, who you're nursing. But if somebody's going to fire you for preserving your health and your well-being, then it is time to go somewhere else. It is time to be somewhere else. It is time not to be in that relationship. Because even though you're together and you have a marriage, right? But that marriage is to support you both, not to deplete you both. And I think that's where we get it all wrong. And I've been there where I was like, oh, I just think I need to do everything because, you know, that's what a good wife does. No, a good wife takes care of herself. That husband would like to have you around at the end, even though he's enjoying all the benefits of you doing whatever and anything that he wants right now. But who's, you know, you're doing all that so he can have somebody else at the end? Is he doing all that so you can have somebody else at the end and depleting himself? Oh, let me know what you think about that. Right? Let me know what you think. Because I thought this was like really interesting. And let me see. I saw same here. After a 17-year marriage, my separation and divorce were the best thing ever. Marriage benefits men more than women. And if you have kids, forget about it. I will never marry again. And may not cohabitate ever again either. I'm so glad my daughter is 17 and on her way to college. I will miss her dearly, but it's my time. I hear it in that statement. Like, she went from probably giving her all to her husband, giving her all to her kids. We all do it. That's why I created this channel, because this is what we do. And then we're so unhappy, and the marriage will be over when you're doing that, because it's not sustainable. That behavior, that overgiving in a marriage is not sustainable. You're overgiving to your kids, you're overgiving to your husband, you're overgiving to your job, and you're giving nothing to yourself. At some point, you're going to shut down. Fight or flight will kick in. You are human. And your higher self is going to tell you, you got to take care of you. This is not sustainable. And the ways which it will show up is inflammation. Your health will decline. You will start to have health issues, thyroid, this, that, the other, chest pain, whatever. Your blood sugars will start to elevate. Weight gain. And weight gain is not just about that, but weight gain does come with stress. This type of stress. You know, and a lot of people don't have any interest in marriage at this point after having been through that, because they realize I think the reason the interest is not there for marriage is because there is this thought that if you're in a marriage, all of a sudden you have to give more of yourself to the person than you actually give to yourself. And that's not true. It's not true. It should not be true. Should you give to each other? Are there times that you will give more to the person than they're giving to you? Yes, those times will come, but you should not be consistently over giving to the person more than you're giving to yourself. And if you do, it's not sustainable, or your health will not sustain it. Because especially as a woman, you're not doing it just for your husband. You're doing it for your husband, your job, and if you have children, it's for them too. Then what's left for you? Because the truth of the matter is, the person that's going to give most to you is you. And in order for you to sustain in giving to others, you have to fill your cup up so that it's overflowing, so that you can be able to give to others. How do you do that? You know what? You guys subscribe to the channel. We're going to do that. We're doing this together. Because I think that this is not, I don't think this is about feminism. I've seen some comments in here about feminism. You know, I don't care about feminism. It's, I love doing the things I do. I love to cook. I don't mind fixing a plate for my husband. I don't mind. I do the laundry. I don't care for it. I don't mind. I'll clean the house. It's not terrible. I can do it. It's like my meditation. When I'm cleaning, I love to see my house clean. But when I can't, I hire someone to help me. When I can't do it, I say no. And that's the hardest part. That's what we need at this stage. If we realize, like, we got to the point where we're just like, short of other things happening. I'm sure by the time someone gets to divorce, there are a lot of other things happening, but that's a lot of it. It's that you feel you've lost yourself, and you feel like there's no way out. There's no other way to reclaim yourself but leaving the situation. Because maybe you've given so much that the other person, you don't feel like, you feel bad about telling them that you're not going to do this anymore. Or if you tell them, they make you feel bad that you have things that you're not going to be doing anymore. So, and it's really hard to make that change, because if you're making that change and you're planning on staying, you have to be if the plan is to stay, then you have to be able to take and understand that the other person is not going to immediately understand that you are now changing. You're not changing, but you need to take care of yourself. That everything that you were doing, because sometimes people are oblivious to the fact that, you know, they live with you every day and they see, it seems to them like you're fine. So they're like, okay, you're good, right? Because only you can tell other people how to treat you. This is where that saying comes in. You tell other people how to treat you. You tell other people what you need. And if you're not telling other people, if you're not actively telling other people what you need, how do they know? They think you're okay. That includes your husband. That includes your spouse, whether you're a woman or a man. Right? So we have to tell each other what we need. Because with that comes understanding, whether we like it or not initially. And usually, if we don't like it, it's because there's something that we were benefiting from that we feel like we're not going to benefit from anymore. But the thing is that if you love the person and this is something that you're benefiting from, and you can see that your benefit is their detriment, if you love that person, is that what you want for them? Of course not. Of course not. So this gives you a different perspective. So I really found this topic to be really interesting. I think personally, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about this 38-year-old woman who's never been married, feels like she knows. I think these women are giving her some things that these women that are in their 50s are giving her some information about what they've been through, but what they're not telling, some of them sound like they have, like they're healed, but they're healed and maybe have made a decision. It's okay. And maybe I'm wrong. If you're out there and you're 50 and you're in line with some of these comments that I said, drop me a comment down below. Let me know. You don't have to agree with me. But I feel like it's the fear. Like, you don't want to be in a relationship again because it's the fear that you do have to give. To be in a relationship with someone, there's some part of yourself that you have to give, right? And if you haven't done the work to fill up your cup, you're just not ready to give it. There's nothing to give, right? Or maybe you've given for so long on an empty cup that right now, as this cup is overflowing, all you could do is keep pouring back into yourself because it's like you're making up for lost time. But at some point, we all need connection, right? But we just need to make sure the connection is healthy. And a lot of us, it's not our fault, no shade. We've not seen healthy connections in our lives. We didn't see our parents have it. We didn't see our grandparents have it. And so we're just winging it, right? Repeating a lot of the same mistakes. Get yourself together first. I think this woman's doing the right thing. Know what you want. Does it mean it's going to be perfect? Does it mean that she won't get divorced? Might be for a different reason, right? But if she has chances are, if she has the conversations about what she wants up front with this man that she meets, whoever it is that she might be thinking of marrying, she can vet him out and know for sure whether or not he wants to. And I think men do the same thing. You think men date a lot of women. This is not every woman they date that they would ever marry. Why is that? Because they have an idea in their mind of what a wife should be like. And if you might be the fun girl and not the marriage girl, you might, there's a difference. There is a difference. I watched a video the other day of a woman and she had a jean jacket on, no bra underneath, and she was out at this was on a show, it was like a game show, but it wasn't like a talk show, some type of talk show. And she stood up and she said, you know what, like, it's my body, my life, like, why can't I do this? And there was another woman on the talk show and she said, why? And the woman told her, she goes, well, why would you think if you present yourself that way that your husband would be okay. The man that might want to marry you would want to see you present yourself with your breasts almost hanging out, your booty hanging out, for some other man to look at. Men are territorial. Period. The end. That's facts. Men are territorial of, if they're going to marry you, you belong. And it's not like, I don't want to say you belong to them. Like, that's not the right, because we don't belong to anybody, but they are territorial. Like, from caveman days, they are instinct. It's an instinct. They are your protector. And if you're going to cause them more heartache in the things that they have to do to protect you, because you're out there with your booty hanging out and your breasts hanging out, like, they don't need the hassle and they don't want it. They want it for a moment, not for a long time. You're there for the moment, not for the long time. But if you're going to be there for the long time, then these are things that us as women also, we need to understand, right? Because many of us, and we've all been there in our 20s where, the liberal, feminism type of behaviors, kind of, and it's okay. I'm not saying don't wear what you want. Wear what you want. I'm not telling anybody. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, understand the dynamic of the man that you're going to attract. If you're looking for a man, understand what that man is thinking as he's hooking up with you. Yeah, he's hooking up with you. Yes, you're pretty. You got a hot body. Yes, all of it. Right? You're probably even smart. But do you think he wants to deal with the hassle of his friends, the neighbors, whoever, looking at your booty and your breasts out there? He doesn't. So in his mind, he's already checked the box that you're not marriage material, period. And he's not even going to tell you. You'll just never check that. He'll never check that marriage box for you. And then you'll be the one wondering, well, I was so hot and I'm so hot. I'm so smart. Like, I have everything. And why didn't that guy marry me? What made me less attractive? What made me not tick the box? Well, that's one of the things that will make you not ever tick the box. Anywho, I digress. That just came up. I just thought about that as we were talking and I was getting ready to sign off. But drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about this. A lot of women in their 50s say they're the happiest ever. Yes, because now you're giving back to yourself. Does it mean you have to stay there? Does it mean you have to not ever get married? No. Does it mean you have to get married? No, it doesn't. It just means that a lot of these women were not pouring into themselves. So if you are there and you haven't been pouring into yourself, you wanna come to a forum where we talk about that a lot. Subscribe to this channel, hit that like button so you can be notified, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload a new video for this podcast and on my channel. And you know what? Until next time, you stay beautiful, you stay empowered, you stay inspired, and you stay beautiful so you can keep taking care of yourself and those around you. All right? And thank you for joining me on You Can't Handle the Truth. I will see you in the next episode.